Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Today we're going to be covering 1977's Chatterbox, directed by Tom DeSimone and starring Candice Rialson.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Where's head knockers?
Spooky ain't got no real poetry.
Brenda.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love a funny game. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
So, this movie was released on Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 1977. In the same year that Star Wars was released, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Chatterbox was released.
Do you think they thought they were just going to steamroll the competition this year with MGM? They thought this Chatterbox has got it made. No one is in our way.
I think they thought it was going to be a much bigger hit than it was.
Nothing's going to stop us now.
It's surprisingly very hard to find any real information about this movie.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people do remember this movie, but I can't find anything for budget. It was almost impossible to find the actual release date of this movie because it was extremely poorly received by both audiences and critics. The only thing I can find is a Los Angeles Times review, which says,
Yep.
the film's vulgar premise smacks of smirking adolescence. Its crude one-liners, full of foul language that unsuccessfully try to stretch into a full-length movie. The movie is a male masturbatory fantasy. I'm going to have to disagree with that last part.
Yeah. It's like a joke at a Hollywood party that went on too long and they decided to make a movie out of it.
It had to be.
Yeah. Hey, let's make a movie about this vagina. During, as they come up from a Coke binge. Oh, I got it. Vagina. And it sings. High five.
Well, from an interview with the director, who is mostly known for porn movies, which we'll get into, he said this was his first real mainstream movie. And it was based off an old story outline he had for an X-rated comedy called Lips. But a Hollywood producer saw it, liked it, and decided to make it into a movie. Oh. And MGM came a-calling.
Oh, my God.
So yes, Chris, it probably was a joke at one point.
No.
That's what he said, let's do it.
Oh, no.
So Chatterbox is about a woman who has a box, her vagina, that sings and talks.
Yeah. But sings very well. You have to wonder where this vagina learned to sing.
Yes, which we will get into in the rest of the podcast. Again, we're recording this intro just to give a little bit of information about the crew and the cast of this movie and a little bit of the history behind it. If you're wondering why the rest of the episode is going to sound a little bit differently, it's because we originally recorded this and the first 3 episodes before this one with lav mics, and we've now switched to handheld mics.
Yes.
It's a little bit more inconvenient for us, but boy, does it sound better to those ears, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Chatterbox. Tom DeSimone, the director, also gets story credit. He was born in 1939, and he's still living. He's 76 years old.
Wow.
He was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and received his bachelor's degree in directing from Emerson College in Boston. Then he went to UCLA and earned a master's degree in motion picture production. Following graduation, he worked briefly as a post-production supervisor in West Los Angeles for a company where he edited children's movies and educational films. After that, he went and formed his own production company to be part of the burgeoning adult film market, which he saw presented the opportunity to produce and direct films and had a lucrative career in the industry that followed. This is from his IMDb profile, so I think he wrote a lot of it. He often directed under the pseudonym Lancer Brooks, which is what almost all his porn credits are. He has a quote on working on porn films during the 70s. He says, "I did some really good work in those days. Considering the budgets and conditions, I learned to shoot fast and from the hip.
Look, Ma, both hands.
I've seen a few text interviews with Tom. He seems like a really cool guy, really interesting guy.
Seems amazing already, yeah.
He has no problem talking about anything, by the way. And he has a big connection to the next movie we're going to be covering in this podcast, which I will get to right now. After Chatterbox, he directed quite a bit more adult movies with the Lancer Brooks pseudonym, while he was directing Hollywood B movies. The most notable Hollywood B movies he made were Hell Night, 1981, starring Linda Blair.
Yeah.
The Concrete Jungle, 1982. Reform School Girls, 1986. And he was originally supposed to direct 1984's Savage Streets.
Wow.
But he left after about 1 week of production. Now, the reason that's interesting is because next week we actually cover Savage Streets, starring Linda Blair. Here is what Tom had to say about that movie. I was actually hired to direct Savage Streets, and that's how Linda Blair and my brother came on board. I brought them to the project. However, well into production, the script kept getting reworked and reimagined by one of the investors who fancied himself a writer.
As always happens.
Like I said, Tom seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah.
It soon became clear to me that the picture was heading off in a different direction than where we began, and I was unhappy with where it ended up. Frustrated over all the changes I felt were bad, I walked from the project, and that's where Danny came in, who's the other director.
Yeah.
The last few things he ended up doing was a lot of TV, most notable, and they were kind of B TV shows, but they're all pretty great. Freddy's Nightmares, which is a Freddy Krueger spinoff show, 4 episodes of that. Super Force, 6 episodes of that. And Swamp Thing, the TV show, which I remember as a kid.
Yeah, I remember that.
3 episodes of that. He directed a few other shows through the 90s. His last credit was on a show called She Spies in 2002. However, Tom did a 1-year stint in Mexico City where he directed all 120 episodes of the telenovela Acapulco Bay for Televisa Studios. He now currently lives in Palm Springs, California.
No.
I would love to be able to get to Tom on
yeah, I would love
podcast.
if we can just like shoot some golf with that guy and just bullshit.
He is a really, really, really cool guy when I read these interviews with him, which we make fun of the movie in the podcast.
Yeah.
But Tom, no hard feelings. I know you'll find it funny because you seem like a really cool guy.
Yeah.
And if you ever hear this, please contact us. I'm still looking for information from him, but it's very hard to find. His brother, Bob DeSimone, now I mentioned briefly, was an actor in a few movies. He was the science teacher in Savage Streets.
Really?
Which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
He was also the cab driver in this movie, Chatterbox, at the very end.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was in Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. He played the character Billy. And that's pretty much it. He didn't really do much. He was just kind of acting because his brother was around. So it was fun for him. Now, the man who wrote this, one of the screenwriters, Mark Rosen, only had 2 other credits. 1976, The Great Texas Dynamite Chase, which is a B movie starring Claudia Jennings, who, like the lady in this movie, met an untimely death, but starred in the movie Gator Bait, and which I really want to find a copy of, by the way, and Unholy Rollers, which we currently have scheduled today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
He's currently in pre-production on a new movie now, though, called 55 Steps, which looks like an independent movie.
Yeah.
Norman Yonemoto, the other screenwriter of this movie, unfortunately, he passed away in 2014. He was 67, died in Venice, California. He only had 5 writing credits, but the biggest being 1977's Chatterbox and 1984 Savage Streets.
Oh, yes!
He directed a lot of short films, didn't really write much. And that gap between Chatterbox and Savage Streets, that is the actual gap. It was 7 years before he wrote another movie.
Wow.
Bruce Cone Curtis, who's the producer of this movie, went on to produce a lot of stuff, actually. A lot of like B movies, but here's some fun ones. Started in 1977's Chatterbox. 1977, a movie called Joyride, starring Robert Carradine and Melody Griffith.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
Was that did they remake that movie? Or was that just a totally different?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Roller Boogie, 1979, which starred Linda Blair.
I can watch that now.
1981, Hell Night. He produced that as well with Tom as the director. 1982, The Seduction, starring Morgan Fairchild. 1984, Fear City, Tom Berenger, Billy D. Williams, Melanie Griffith. That was directed by Abel Ferrara, who directed the original Bad Lieutenant movie with Harvey Keitel, as well as King of New York with Christopher Walken. So he actually directed a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And then the last one I wrote down was 1984's Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid. Now, the most famous person of the crew is Tak Fujimoto, who was the director of photography on this movie, which I wouldn't say has the best photography. However, he was the photographer on 1973's Badlands by Terrence Malick, which is considered as one of the greatest independent movies ever made.
Oh, okay.
Also, Terrence Malick is known for very, very good cinematography. He went on to work in 1974 on Cage Heat, which was directed by Jonathan Demme. It's not the last time you're going to hear his name on this. 1975, he was direct photography on Death Race 2000, but then immediately went into much bigger movies. 1986, Pretty in Pink.
Oh, wow.
1986, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 1991, Silence of the Lambs. That's when he worked with Jonathan Demme again.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
1993, Philadelphia.
Oh, my God.
Then he met another director. 1999, The Sixth Sense.
No way.
2002, Signs. 2008, The Happening.
I knew it.
2010, he shot Devil, which was produced by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
And his last credit I have here was 2013, God's Behaving Badly. He was a very successful director of photography
I'd say
after
so.
this.
Yeah.
So this was one of his earlier ones.
Good for him. I mean, even if his last movie with Shyamalan was in an elevator, I mean, still.
The idea of going from Badlands to Chatterbox to me is insane.
Yeah, that's quite a valley.
But he was working with Roger Corman for quite a few years there when you see the Cage Heat, Death Race 2000, all that. But then, I mean, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking serious cinematographer here.
Yeah.
Sounds of the Lambs? He never got nominated for Academy Award, which I thought maybe Silence of the Lambs would have, but I didn't see in his bio. So I believe he's still alive and still working. There's pictures of him on all these sets.
We'll look him up. We'll give him the old ring-a-ding-ding and talk about Chatterbox.
I don't think So now we get into the cast, which this actually kind of broke my heart, this whole thing. It's very depressing.
Yeah.
Candice Rialson, who plays Penelope, the main character in this movie, she died in 2006 of liver disease. And she was only in her 60s. And what's really sad is that I've read online is that a lot of people with the same disease as her don't just randomly die.
Mm-hmm.
They either don't have health insurance or they don't listen to doctors' advice. And Candice really had a rough time. She always tried to break into the mainstream of movies, but was always just on the outside. She was in a lot of B movies, a lot of Roger Corman movies, and Chatterbox was her one starring role, and it doomed her career.
Shit.
Because nobody would take her seriously, and they didn't want to hire her for any real movies. And she quit acting after 1979. She just gave up.
Wow.
And totally disappeared. She got married, had kids, moved away, didn't give interviews. Everybody who knew her said she was really nice and friendly, but just kind of got her heart broken by Hollywood and left. According to Quentin Tarantino, she is the inspiration for Bridget Fonda's character in Jackie Brown.
Okay.
He modeled her around Candice Rialson. Her other credits were a lot of Roger Corman movies. 1974's Candy Striped Nurses. Yeah. 1974 Summer School Teachers, which I have as a possibility on this podcast, mainly because that movie was directed by a woman. And it's very interesting. She directed a few B movies during that time. And you don't see many women directors, especially for sexploitation movies. 1976, she was in Logan's Run uncredited as Screamer in Logan's apartment. 1977, she had her big role in Chatterbox. Last thing she did was 1979, Winter Kills, retired in 1980. And this is what's so sad, is that she disappeared so far into obscurity that nobody even knows she died until 6 months later.
Oh, that's terrible.
Apparently, a company was doing a feature. A DVD company was re-releasing a movie she was in called Pets, which was one of her first movies in 1973, and they wanted to know if she would be part of the DVD release. And they contacted her husband and found out that she had died months before.
Jesus.
And nobody knew why. It took almost a year and a half before people even knew how she died.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it was only because family members eventually contacted forums on the internet, and basically somebody eventually gave her an obituary from Palmdale.
Wow, because you always wonder when these actors and actresses dies, are they going to have like some kind of in memoriam thing like the Oscars? I don't think.
Unfortunately, Candace didn't,
Yeah.
and I really feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, she gave it her all, and it's really sad that, like, just to see somebody so beaten down by it, and like, I know she seems so happy. It's really a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking into this, getting really depressed about it. So Larry Gelman, who plays Dr. Pearle, he has 113 acting credits.
Wow.
He was on guest roles on TV shows his entire career from the 60s all the way to the 90s. Here's a few. Mission Impossible, I Dream of Jeannie, The Monkees, Batman, Get Smart, Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart Show, Barney Miller, Facts of Life, Hill Street Blues, Remington Steele, Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
No.
He
Oh
just
my
played
God.
bit characters.
I remember that show.
Night Court and Doogie Howser.
Night Court.
His movie roles, not many of them, mostly small. Chatterbox, Dreamscape, which was produced by the same producer. Mr. Saturday Night, 1992 with Billy Crystal. Old Dogs in 2009, which is one of the worst movies ever made. And his last credit is 2014, North Boulevard. He is still alive.
Yeah, I
apparently.
was about to wonder that because that's quite a long list.
And for you video game fans, he was in Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, as well as Yuri's Revenge, and he played Albert Einstein. Jane Keane, who plays Candace's mom, or Penelope's mom in the movie, same thing, tons and tons of TV. She died in 2013, but she was 90 years old. Now, Erwin Corey, who plays the TV show host in this movie, which you listen to the podcast, you'll hear our comments about that. We love it.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it, like Hollywood Handbook or something. He's credited as himself because he is a stand-up comedian. And I say he is because I cannot believe it, but this man is still alive. He's 101 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah, he looks like he's dead in the movie. He's still alive. Very, very successful stand-up comedian on every late-night talk show. Johnny Carson, all of it. Was on Hollywood Squares for a couple seasons in the early 80s. Did a couple of movies, but the most notable was kind of this. In 1996, he was in Jack.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah.
Perry Bullington, who plays Ted, Penelope's boyfriend, he only acted in a few things. He has 6 credits for acting, mostly TV, 2 movies. Unfortunately, he died in 2012. He was only 65 years old. Don't have a reason. His only credits were Chatterbox and a movie called For Heaven's Sake in 2008, and he was just credited as Man on Coaster because he was the casting director for that movie. Oh. And he was a very successful casting director for low-budget horror and action movies.
Yeah.
In fact, he has 112 credits.
Holy shit.
A few of the notables are 1985 American Ninja and the sequel to it. 1987 Death Wish 4.
Yeah.
1990 Puppet Master 2, 4, and 5. But not 3, which I thought was really interesting. 1993, a movie called Mandroid. 1999, a movie called Murder Cycle. 2000, he directed a movie called Killjoy, which is a funny blaxploitation killer clown movie.
Yeah.
His last credit was in 2010 for a movie called Dream Killer. But he was the casting director on a ton straight to video and horror movies. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, good for him.
And then the only person I have written down else is Rip Taylor, who needs no introduction. If you don't know who he is, you will.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's about it for the intro here. Enjoy the rest of the podcast episode and see what Chris and I thought of Chatterbox.
Yeah, get ready to open Pandora's Chatterbox for this one.
If you want to find us online, you can go to facebook.com/grindbin. We're also on grindhousefilm.com. You can find us on Instagram and on Twitter.
And if you also want to check out our other project on Kickstarter.com, which we are trying to get funded, it's a short film by director Jesse Michaels called 54321.
Well, I'm so glad to be here tonight with all you ladies and gentlemen in the audience and all you viewers at home. Are you getting a close-up, boys? Yes, I'm so glad to be here tonight with all of you. And I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing. Unless, of course, it's something I'd approve of. I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing and get out your all-new bonus offer, once-in-a-lifetime, low-slung, wang-dang doodle. Get out your cruise running, wide-bodied, doctor-recommended wang-dang doodle. Wang-dang doodle. You can save money, feel better, quit smoking if you get out your wang-dang doodle. Wang-dang doodle. Wang-dang doodle.
Now let's start off by saying we are covering today 1977's Chatterbox, not to be confused with a 2009 movie with the same name, which is rated G. And I can only imagine the face on a parent that picked the wrong movie for their kids. Chatterbox, well, what do we say other than let's have the trailer try and interpret what we're about to talk about.
You are about to see scenes from a serious movie that depicts one of the most amazing medical discoveries in the history of the world. Whatever you do, don't laugh.
Well, what would you do if your could all of a sudden start to talk and sing?
I will never understand women.
I'm their mother.
Okay,
Not every performer could say that she's recommended by the AMA.
it's just embarrassing.
She doesn't want to be just another anonymous organ.
I have a that can talk.
She has a beautiful voice.
Very nice.
I feel I'm making a statement with this film, you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Dick, I'm so glad I ended up with you.
Me too.
Me three.
Are you ladies ready?
Do you serve a box lunch?
This is a social document.
Chatterbox, the story of a young woman who has a very unusual way of expressing herself.
I wonder why they call it Chatterbox.
This is the climax!
Okay.
I want to say, I feel like this movie, it felt like it was originally meant to be written for the stage, and no self-respecting producer or theater wanted to get behind it. Because the whole thing does feel like a musical slash, you know what I mean? It almost feels like very producer-esque. Almost, dare I say, Mel Brooks on a Coke binge.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't guessed what Chatterbox is about yet, I'll leave it to a quote in the movie, towards the end, from the director who's directing a movie within a movie. And he says, "I want people to know this is not the first film to star a real cunt."
End quotes.
Chatterbox is about a woman named Penny who has a singing, talking vagina who becomes a Hollywood star on its own, much to her chagrin.
Well, this whole premise, I feel like it's a nightmare. It's somebody's nightmare come true. It's like someone found a way to hook up electrodes and see into someone's self-conscious dream state, and this is, to me, is just a nightmare. I mean, I've had dreams where I was pregnant. That pales in comparison to what this woman is going through and how she is treated.
It is a like real life nightmare.
Yeah.
And it was received as a nightmare. The movie starts out with a title card of a woman bending over. This is the first shot we get as a cartoon woman bending over.
And it's against a very mid-century looking motif of design. 'Cause
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
like vaudevillian.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what era this was taking place in. By the music is very Disney-esque. It's very cheery, very 1960s, very...
this is like a musical. It's almost like Sound of Music, but with a singing vagina.
I think that's the root of this movie, musical. But
and then there's a title card before the movie starts that Chris and I watched this together. We paused it to try and figure out why it says this. It says, "This too is a true story."
In regards to what?
And then what's even weirder is it says, "This is a true story," but then it has the word "to," T-O-O, like put into the sentence.
Yeah.
Which it's like, it looks like it was a mistake, but then they put it in. I don't get it. I've been trying to figure this out. And this movie is only 73 minutes long. The entire 73 minutes, I've been trying to figure out what the hell this quote is supposed to mean.
Is it part of another cinematic universe that it's trying to join together?
This
or
too.
What?
The movie's going to start out well when the first scene is a sex scene. Mm-hmm. Within 1 minute of the movie starting, we see boobs. Like, it goes right into it. We're not hiding it. And they're singing in the background.
It's very innocent music.
Yeah.
It's very touching.
It's like fairy tale.
It's tender.
They're doing it. Then, in the middle of their sex scene, this voice comes on screen, which we learn is the vagina.
Yeah.
We don't know its name yet.
Yeah.
You call that a fuck?
What?
And she just immediately starts emasculating the man that Penny, our main character, or Penelope, is in coitus with.
Yeah. Well, what's really striking is that whenever it makes its appearance, it has this weird Tinkerbell sound effect, like very Bewitched almost.
Yeah.
Like, bring! Like I'm supposed to be enchanted by this.
I think
new
you're right
character.
about it, trying to be like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But more like a horror story, like more like a Grimm's fairy tale.
There's no explanation to why this is happening.
No, we never learn through the whole movie.
No.
So it starts out, it emasculates the man. She runs to the bathroom to try to figure out what's going on, and he like trips over all these lamps and everything. He's a real clumsy guy. The vagina immediately starts in with one-liners, and will keep doing this throughout the whole movie. Pretty much every line of dialogue the vagina has is a terrible joke. I mean, any pun they could dig up, bottom of the barrel type stuff.
I'm not over you. I'm under you. Yeah, there's no real.
Not funny.
No.
So, Ted, her boyfriend, and the vagina don't get along. That's immediate, right off the bat.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. He don't like it. She don't like him. The scene ends, and Penny's all upset because Ted runs out. But don't worry, because the next scene we have the star of the movie, in my opinion, Rip Taylor at the hair salon.
Yeah.
Don't forget. You won't forget. She'll forget. I know damn well she'll forget the Barracuda. You can't trust any of them. I don't know what men see in them anyway.
It just feels like they rolled the camera and just said, let her rip. And boy, does he.
I would like to see the outtakes, like the full cut of the scene, because I feel like it went on for a lot longer.
I'm not even sure there is a cut. Like, I think they put everything they had of him on screen. And it really is a detriment that Rip Taylor is only in this movie for like 2 minutes, because he is, goddamn, is he good.
Yeah. Where else could you have extended that character, though? He's the hair.
I don't know. They could have shoehorned him in multiple places.
Like DeVito and the
He
Van
could have been the
Counter.
hairdresser for Virginia.
Yes, the wardrobe
Yeah.
alone for his character.
He steals the goddamn show in these 5 minutes that he's in this. So apparently he owns a hair salon where Penny works, and she's on the phone with Ted, and he says this line to her where he goes, "A man of my endowment shouldn't have to take this. I have an MBA, I play tennis, and I make $25,000 a year."
Yep.
Now,
Rolling.
1977, I don't know, $25,000.
Doesn't sound like a whole hell of a lot.
Is that impressive? Like, would that be considered like six figures?
It depends
today?
on what he's doing with his job.
I don't know what he is. He just looks like some sort of banker.
Yeah. I don't know. He rattles off these accomplishments like it's supposed. Now he's trying to make her feel belittled, and
well, a man of his endowment doesn't have to take this. Not at all. He's not going to be emasculated by no vagina.
No, in
Not
fact,
him.
I mean, to call back to the scene when he leaves, when he says we don't have to take this, he very openly looks down at himself multiple times during this, and I'm
So
like,
he looks at his own.
yeah. He says,
He says, "We don't have to take this."
yeah,
I didn't
and he
even
looks down
notice
at him.
that.
Yeah, he looks down at himself.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe that's a foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
And I'm like, I knew it when I saw the ending, but we're not going to go too much further.
No.
Because I'm like,
No spoilers yet.
Is this an extra cast member we're referring to? No pun intended, but we will see.
So the one thing I noticed about this hair salon is that Penny's outfit is so short, I can pretty much see the Chatterbox.
Yeah.
I mean, she's wearing what I would just say is a shirt with no bottoms.
Yeah, like she just rolled out of bed at the salon.
Her shirt is so short that she has to walk around gripping the bottom of it to hold it over herself. Like, it's absolutely indecent.
She's pulling her shirt, pulling it down, and if there's a breeze, you're not leaving anything to the imagination at this point.
No. And then also, is this hair salon in a house?
I was wondering that myself. Is this attached to her own house?
This is not a hair salon. It is at somebody's house that they just put barber chairs in.
and plastic sinks into the wall.
And it was like, this is an MGM movie. There's multiple scenes, multiple sets. Don't kid me that this is supposed to be a hair salon. This looks like the director's house or something.
To be fair, they do have hair salons in houses, but
not like this.
Not like this. No. So
Penny has a problem. She needs to tell her good friend from the hair salon, which we will only see one more time, but they're good buds. She tells her just straight out. She has no qualms about saying this to anybody. She just goes, I got to tell you something. My vagina's talking. Like, right out.
And she's such a good friend. She will get down and try to talk to it.
Yeah, she gets on her knees, pulls up her panties, and screams, hello, hello. But no response. So then Rip Taylor catches him in the back room. And along with Rip Taylor, we get a lot of boom mic. Constantly. This is, I'd say, the second or third appearance by now of the boom mic, which rears its head in almost every scene.
Yeah, I think it was in the cast, in the credits.
But the reason I'm mentioning it now is because there's a part where Rip Taylor says a line and like swings his hand down, and I swear he actually hits the boom mic out of frame.
He does. I think he had enough of it.
It looks like it's coming right up at him and he's getting annoyed by it. He slaps his hand onto it. So then he tells Penny she's got a client who walks up the stairs and stares at her. Again, too short of clothing. Stares right at the box.
Yeah.
And we know something's up. So when she goes to start doing this lady's hair, the vagina immediately starts hitting on her and using all sorts of one-liners. But Penny isn't interested. However, the vag just won't quit.
No, there's some line about the YMCA. I didn't.
She says, "Come down and meet me for lunch at the Y."
I got it.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
This is the level of comedy that this vagina is going to tell.
Yeah. For those that don't get it, the Y is a visual of a vagina.
Is that really? Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Oh. The lesbian lady is really down. She rips off her coat, and apparently she's dressed in lingerie, and dives face first for the vagina.
She is, as the script writer would call it, muff diving.
Yeah. Rip Taylor catches him, goes off on a good, 2 minutes where they don't cut him off screen, and he just, I'm going to play it right here.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a private office. I beg your pardon.
Wait a minute, it's my private office. What are you doing?
I couldn't. No one will believe.
How dare you do something like that in a place like this where decent people come to have their hair done? Oh, God, I don't know. I can't explain this. It's just embarrassing. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm ruined. Go, get. Oh, get. I'm going to tell your mother.
Same time next week, dear.
I will never understand women. Never.
Never before have I seen so much wrist flipping.
If he had just had that confetti thing he always carries around, it would have been the best.
Special edition.
Yeah. So then Penny goes to the doctor because where else are you going to go with this talking vagina situation?
Ventriloquist.
Yeah. And we meet Dr. Pearle. And again, she just goes right into it. And she even says, Doctor, I'm just going to level with you. Come right out with it. My vagina's talking.
Yeah, this guy he's the typical psychotherapist. He's got the side hair, bald on top.
Yeah.
And
he mentions Freud a couple times because that's the only thing the scriptwriters knew was a psychologist. And he immediately believes her without even hearing it talk at first. Just goes, "Oh, great!"
No second opinions. No, let me get the guys on the line for the. Oh, he does get someone on the line.
Well,
we'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll get
so
into this later.
the vag talks to him.
What's up, Doc?
Yeah.
Again, the level of intelligence.
Again, why wouldn't she talk to her friend? The vag is so open to talking. She sings everything.
And to another woman.
But she won't talk to the other woman. But she talks to the lesbian just fine.
Yeah, well...
I don't know. She definitely has a mind of her own, and for some reason she wants to fuck with Benny.
Maybe it's just trolling her, you know?
Definitely at this point.
Yeah.
The vagina says, not only can I talk, I can sing, and starts belting out tunes. The doctor's first reaction is he goes, hold on, picks up a phone, calls his friend. He goes, hold on a second, puts the phone up to the vagina, and it sings the Star Spangled Banner. And the guy on the other end of the line is in a conference room. Like, he's sitting at the head of a table in a conference room with all these guys around him. And he goes, this is the exact quote. For Christ's sake, Pearle, you call me in the middle of a meeting to hear some cunt sing the Star Spangled Banner? And then hangs up. And the weird thing is, like, he doesn't even say, you're never going to believe this, it's a talking vagina. He just says, hold on a second, and then you hear it sing.
Yeah.
How is that going to translate?
There's no frame of reference. That's his problem. That's his mistake.
Who is this guy, by the way? We never see him again.
No.
He's a loser of a therapist, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He's got other angles he's shopping, for sure, because we'll find out sooner or later, this singing vagina is his ticket to the top.
Yeah.
And this scene ends with a quote from the vag itself saying, nothing could be finer than a singing vagina, which doesn't rhyme.
No.
I was hoping it would say, nothing could be finer than a singing vagina. That would have been great.
Or finer.
So then we go to, it's not the most odd scene in the movie, but it certainly ranks up there, is Dr. Pearle is going to put on a medical clinic, apparently, about this talking vagina, but that consists of just a stage with a curtain and him giving some really long introduction about how this is as big a discovery as Freud and Freud's wife or something. I don't know what the hell
Since Jung slept with Freud's wife.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then some guy in the audience just gets up and goes, bring out the girl!
And it feels like he's going to showcase King Kong or something like that. This is the level of showmanship.
This part, you know you're in for something way different when this comes out, because he pulls out the curtain and Penny is like strapped to a Frankenstein-esque table
with a cloth over,
and he and a full band, by the way, a full 4-piece band,
and the instruments they're playing, half of them you don't even hear in the music.
There's like a trumpet,
I think a clarinet,
So there's a full band, and he rips off the curtain, and for some reason Penny's completely nude.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand, because it's just the vagina that talks. She doesn't have to be topless as well, but they were like, fuck it, just full nude.
He's taking his place amongst the giants of science.
Yes. The band starts playing, and the vagina sings Way Down on the Swanee River. Which I think is a real odd choice for a song.
What a number. It was in her range. That's what it was.
Hit it. Way down upon the Swanee River, far, far away.
And while the band's playing, the drummer is all getting up to look at it. Everybody was just fascinated.
I think the clarinet was right up in it.
Yeah, you can see the trumpet in the vagina. It almost looked like it was a microphone.
Yes.
But for some reason, you never get to see it, if actually the lips move or something, because everybody is just fascinated by it. But it must have some sort of movement, or else they would think it's just coming from somewhere else.
Yeah, because later its vocal cords get strained, allegedly.
Yeah.
So the physiology, there's got to be some kind of rule here that physically there needs to be some kind of vibration, some kind of with the lips and the cords. I agree with you.
I think the lips move, and they just couldn't show it. I wonder if they had at least one shot where it showed it, but I'm sure they couldn't.
I mean, I would just put a high-powered fan out of frame and up against it, just to get some kind of ripple effect. Yeah.
So this is when we finally learn the vagina's name. Virginia, the talking vagina. That's how she's introduced.
How witty.
Which is weird because she never tells us her name before this scene.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the reveal. So now we can call her by her real name, Virginia. Or as I wrote in my notes, V.
Yeah.
So then we just cut to a weird scene where a cop gives Penny a ticket, and the vagina hits on the cop, or Virginia. Virginia hits on the cop, gets Penny arrested.
Well, it's funny because the scene where Virginia or V is somewhat propositioning the cop, like Penny's face at that moment, it's like, should I go along with this? Like, she's almost going to commit to the proposition.
And let's say, like, this seems to be a running theme in the movies we've picked lately. The people are real dumb. Like, all our main characters seem to be real stupid.
Yeah.
And Penny goes right along with them. And she is not too bright.
Jeannie, Kim, and Penny should all get together.
Oh, and Bobby.
And Bobby.
So then Penny ends up in jail. V keeps on singing in the jail, practicing her vocals. One of the other inmates gets pissed at her, and then her and the vagina get in a verbal sparring match. And luckily, Ted is there for some reason to bail her out.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Pearle shows up and answers a business call.
Yes, I was glad
jail.
you mentioned that because how would they get the number?
Exactly.
Jail.
Like, oh, he walks up and then the cop goes, "Oh, it's for you, Dr. Pearle."
Yeah.
It's like, what? Who did he tell he was going down to the jail, and why would they call him there?
And that is not good publicity, first off, to tell someone you're bailing your client out of jail.
And he starts saying stuff like, yes, we retain all purchasing rights. So, like, already his plan is like, this is going to make me rich. Finally, I can not be a doctor. I can be a talent agent. And I found my ticket to the top. And he really has. So he tells her, you know, you need to quit being such a stuck-up girl, Penny, and just embrace the fact that you have a talking vagina. And maybe you should listen to it a little bit because it seems like it knows what it's doing.
Perfectly healthy medical advice, by the way.
Yeah, and at one point he just stops talking to Penny altogether and just goes right to talking to Virginia, which includes the doctor leaning over and just yelling into her pants. So then we cut to the oddest location in the whole movie, which is a zoo.
Yeah.
For some reason, the next two shots take place at a zoo.
I feel like...
Do you think they just had it for the day or something?
Here's what I think. MGM had a permit to film for another film at the zoo. That fell through. What do we have that's cheap? Oh, God. We have the actors from Chatterbox available. Let's not waste this
You're right.
day.
It must have been like a reshoot situation, and they were like, you know what? We got this zoo for another day.
And a guy with balloons.
Yeah. We got a few extras laying around. We need to get... This movie is only 70 minutes long. We need to add 3 minutes to it. So they walk around a zoo, and they just have a conversation that just kind of continues on from what we were just dealing with, where he keeps telling her, maybe you should listen to it. She's going to be a star.
But not her. Not at all.
No. He's talking about Virginia.
Yeah, they might as well just saw her off at the waist and do it with the rest of her.
Penny just gets in the way.
Yeah, she does.
So... Best part of that scene is Dr. Pearle goes, "You want a balloon?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then he goes fishing around his pocket and he goes, "You got a quarter?" So he makes her pay for her own balloon. Which I thought was great.
Sounds like a typical date.
So here's when the movie starts to get real interesting, if it hasn't already. Penny's at home trying to go to sleep, and Virginia just keeps singing all night long. She's got a mind of her own, and she just won't let her sleep. Penny wakes up, says, "What's up?"
Wants a sandwich, apparently.
Well, a meat sandwich. She tells Penny she is horny as hell and needs to get out there, and convinces her to hit the streets. And she says, "Vagina calling Penny, vagina calling Penny, hit the streets, girl, hit the streets."
Beat some feet.
And she hits the streets all right, dressed like a lady of the night.
I'm amazed she had this in her wardrobe to begin with. Like
her short, well, we saw how she dressed for work.
Okay.
It's not much different.
No.
Her shorts are so short that her butt cheeks are just hanging out the back. Right. No bra, and she's just freewheeling it down like Hollywood Boulevard. Mm-hmm.
What was
the vagina says to her while she's walking, because Penny goes, "I don't think this is a good idea." And the Virginia says, "Trust me, you'll not only like it, you'll probably die for it." And Chris said while we were watching it, "Yeah, you probably will."
And the choir of the three ladies
Yeah, the nuns or whatever it was.
yeah.
And Virginia, you know, she can't let it slide. Yeah. She says something like, if I find a man, I'm throwing her to you. And they go, oy vey.
Amen.
Amen.
Oy vey.
Then they walk by some biker. And now this is where it gets really weird because I have to break this down and we have to have an intervention here.
Yeah.
So Virginia is like apparently really horny, but she won't, like she rushes Ted out of the room.
Yeah.
There was it right there.
Right.
Like the whole movie, she's like, I'm so horny. You gotta get me something.
Yeah. It's
you
right
had
there.
it.
Yeah.
You had it in the first scene. The movie could have been done. Like she could have been satisfied. Bing, bong, boom, done. But no, she kicks him out. And then when they see this biker who's definitely interested, this is the one guy in the movie Virginia is not interested in. Not at all. She says, keep walking. Uh-oh, he's a real creep. And it's like, okay, you have hit on every single person in this whole movie, whether they're interested or not. And now you're scared about it?
It's making terrible life decisions.
So what's better than that? Well, Penny and Virginia turn the corner and find a full high school basketball team. And I know it's a high school team because there's a yellow school bus sitting outside of school, just waiting out there. And Penny runs over. Virginia just starts, again with the one-liners, trying to pick up all the guys.
Are we sure the side of the bus doesn't say Amorosa?
Yeah.
Because it very well could have been.
It could have been.
The way things are going.
So they all get in the bus for what I guess is a potential gangbang.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's going down real bad at this point.
And it's not Virginia that says all the wrong things. It's Penny that's saying all the wrong things to get these guys riled up.
Yeah. But Virginia keeps egging them on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But Penny doesn't help one bit.
So they get in the bus and pile on because they're like, oh boy, we found a woman. And then they peel off so fast they leave the coach still there. And he's like, wait up, you forgot me.
Yeah.
So eventually Virginia keeps egging him on. And then Penny's like, oh, I got to go home, but you guys can get a kiss for the night. And then they all like dogpile on her. It cuts. Yeah. Now here's where it gets weird. Because it cuts in the next scene, she's in bed like dead tired. We have no idea what happened.
Yeah. Where did we go from there?
I think that she had sex with those men.
With the whole team. I think so too.
Because, okay, so the phone rings. Well, first of all, before the phone rings, Dr. Pearle is now in a high-rise Hollywood office.
And his name still has doctor attached to it on his plaque.
Yeah.
It's like...
He's
what is
Dr. Agent, as he calls himself.
Dr. Agent.
He walks in and gets Penny on the phone. She's dead tired. She says, Doctor, you told me I should listen to Virginia, but I don't think it's a good idea. And oh man, my night last night was real rough. So are we led to believe that gangbang actually happened?
We have to. Because why else would they take the time to make that scene where she goes out? She's looking for it. She's going to get it. Virginia's damn well sure is going to make sure it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It happened.
So Virginia must be satisfied at this point.
Well, because Virginia's voice is also gone too.
Oh, you know what?
Boom. Mystery solved.
Damn.
Yeah, why else would her voice be sorry?
So this part's great because the doctor calls and he wants to talk to Virginia. So Penny just puts the phone on her vagina and goes back to sleep while Virginia has a conversation with the doctor. And she just says, what? Great, we're going to be on Hollywood Open House? Yeah, awesome. That's after my favorite show, Leave It to Beaver. Wah,
pause for audience laughter.
So then we go to Hollywood Open House, which if this was a real show, I would watch every episode.
Oh yeah, the host alone, brilliant.
This is hosted by like a disheveled Sid Caesar. Like the guy is just... I don't even know how to explain him. Like, he comes out and he's just like an older gentleman.
He's very Vegas-like.
Yeah. His hair is just all fucked up. He's like smoking cigarettes. But this is supposed to be a late night talk show, and he comes out and he goes, now we're going to take questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Which I've never heard of a talk show doing this, but okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And the questions he gets are so bad. And his responses to them, like, it doesn't make sense. When people ask the questions, they're like, what do you think of sex before marriage? And he says something like, as long as it doesn't ruin the ceremony?
Or as long as it doesn't delay the wedding. And that's
it's
big.
like, whoa!
Yeah.
And the audience is just laughing it up.
Yeah.
And it's like an audience of like 80-year-olds.
Yeah.
They are just dying laughing. My favorite one is when the guy goes, "Can you explain Einstein's theory of relativity?" And he just answers, "Yes." Which I thought was good.
I think it's
actually
witty.
got a genuine laugh.
Yeah.
But then he just has to keep going. Like, he couldn't just end it there. He goes like, "No, something about how it gets hot and then it gets cold, and then when you get hot, don't you grow?"
Don't you get bigger?
Yeah, and then everybody's like,
"Ah!" Yeah, something about the summers are longer because it's hotter.
Well, Einstein proved conclusively that heating causes expansion and cooling causes contraction. That's why in the summer, the days are longer, because it's hotter. Well, isn't it true, sir? When you get hot, doesn't it get bigger?
Thank you, good night.
But this man, I swear to God, if David Letterman had like done that as a routine, it would have been brilliant. Just go out.
Jay Leno would have quit.
We go backstage, we see a lot more boom mic. Penny's really nervous. The doctor just says, "Just get on stage and pull this cord." When she eventually gets on stage, she pulls this cord and reveals Virginia to the world in front of a microphone.
Virginia's covered up at this point.
Virginia has like outfits from now on.
Yeah.
So like, I don't even know what you would call it. It's like an evening gown over over her. And it's not like a full set of panties. It's just like something they place on top of it, like a triangle right on top of her.
Yeah.
And it sings her famous song, "Wang Dang Doodle."
Which has no other lyrics.
No, it's just basically pull out your wang dang doodle.
Yeah.
It says it over and over and over.
And the choreography, the pageantry.
Oh yeah, Penny starts dancing.
Incredible.
Moving her hips. There's
Yeah.
backup dancers.
Is she dressed like Marilyn Monroe too?
Yeah, she's dressed like Marilyn Monroe because she lifts up her skirt like
Yeah.
that picture.
Yeah, so there you go.
Wang dang doodle. You can save money, feel better. Quit smoking if you get out your wang dang doodle. Wang dang doodle.
Then we get a lot of really weird zooms. The audience is just going nuts. They're just staring at her. And sure enough, Virginia has become a star. And we see a good montage of a bunch of papers, shows, one-liner headlines. And there are all sorts of...
Odds go down on Virginia. CIA bugs Virginia. And my favorite, I think both of our favorite, was singing at a baseball game.
Yeah,
The national anthem.
She sings the national anthem. That's not the best part, because it cuts to Virginia, like it cuts to Penny holding a big megaphone in front of Virginia as she sings into the microphone.
And we cut to the stands of people with their hands over their eyes.
Which is clearly not filmed. Like, they just
Right.
took stock footage of people in stands, because the shot of Penny, all you see is sky.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's no baseball field.
Oh, of course not.
So then we get to Penny in her new penthouse. She has become a real star. Photographers are taking pictures of Virginia, and for some reason Penny is also topless. Because anytime anybody wants to see Virginia, she also has to have like no clothing
Must
on
be a
whatsoever.
contractual thing.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's because like she just has to wear no pants.
In fact, she should just wear a giant kind of burqa thing from the top
Yeah.
of her head
Because
and just stop at the waist, and that's all you really need
Nobody
to see.
gives a shit about her.
Yeah.
Like, they care about her bottom half. So it's almost funny that she would be like, well, maybe that's the whole point. It's like nobody even pays attention to the fact that
Yeah, they're not
she's
taking
naked.
because she's naked. Yet they're not taking pictures of her breasts.
No, only Virginia.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like Virginia doesn't wear an outfit during any of these parts.
No.
But Virginia keeps talking to the photographer. She's like, oh, I didn't like the lighting. I wasn't ready for that one. How about a profile?
I blinked.
Ugh.
Ha 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 ha.
Penny's mom shows up, who we have not seen until... And okay, again, this movie is 73 minutes long. We are over halfway through and now introducing a new character, which is Penny's mom. Yeah. She shows up and she's pissed. More boom mic as she comes in and starts just hitting the photographers, calling them perverts. But all it takes is Dr. Pearle coming over and saying, I'm a doctor. She's impressed by that. And don't be so upset. Your daughter has a multi-million-dollar career. And she goes, oh, well, in that case, let's take a family photo. And they call back in the photographers. And that's...
And that photo shoot alone, like Penny is kind of apprehensive as to whether or not she's going to show her chest in the photo shoot because she keeps kind of opening and closing
until her
it.
mom goes, "Take off your top."
Yeah,
and it's like, whoa, okay. The last thing I want to see is Penny getting naked next to her old 80-year-old mom.
Yeah, it's so
really,
uncomfortable.
really uncomfortable and off-putting. And the mom keeps like cracking jokes like, "Oh, I'm proud of both of them," and like now Virginia's like her new daughter.
You're right.
Because for now on, they treat them as sisters.
Yeah, because now
because they don't get along.
Yeah,
they do bicker and they fight with each other. So then we go to a restaurant, which this scene only exists, I think, for this one joke.
Yes. I don't know which joke you're
so
gonna say.
We see, first of all, we go to the restaurant, more boom mic, makes another appearance. At this point, the boom mic has become a character in this movie.
It's in the cast.
It is in every goddamn scene. And it's not, I mean, trust me, I noticed it the first time watching this movie very prominently.
The boom mic had its own boom mic.
It's like halfway in the shot. Like, there are some scenes where it's like an inch over somebody's head, the boom mic is hovering under frame. Like, the fact that nobody caught this while they were filming is insane. Anybody looking through the viewfinder would have been like, "Oh, the boom was in the shot." It's like you can almost see the pole. It's so far in there. They walk into the restaurant. Everybody notices Penny and Virginia. They're now famous. Virginia's cracking jokes and says something like,
"Hey, did you hear about the man with the 5 penises? His pants fit like a glove. Get it?"
It doesn't
just horrible.
Yeah.
But there is my favorite joke that Virginia says in this scene is the waitress comes up and she goes,
Are you ladies ready?
Do you serve a box lunch?
The crowd must be in stitches.
I think this whole movie was based around that joke.
Yeah.
I think it was like, we're going to have a talking vagina. It's going to say box lunch, gold. Like, I feel like that was like the MGM meeting.
Yeah.
Is like his pitch to these executives was like, it's going to be great. This broad's going to have a talking snatch. It's going to reference a box lunch. And some guy in the room just started cracking up and he goes, "Sold! We'll give you all the money you need."
What would Gloria Steinem say about this movie?
Well, she's mentioned.
Yeah.
Because I guess this is supposed to be like some sort of female empowerment movie, which it absolutely is not. Some woman runs up to Penny and Virginia in the restaurant and says, "You put Gloria Steinem to shame." To Virginia. She yells this to her. And then the paparazzi just shows up in the middle of the dinner and the guy's like, "Are you going to go do and debate this person?" And blah, blah, blah. We'll never hear that referenced again.
No.
Some like religious guy grabs the microphone and says, "You need to repent," and tries to get up her skirt.
And for a second I thought he was praying to Mecca. The way he got down on his knees and just started praying, but he's getting up her skirt. It's just very unclear what is going on in the scene. It is all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Don't bother trying to decipher anything going on.
You know what it reminds me of is like that scene in Willy Wonka, like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where they're like interviewing Augustus Gloop at the at the restaurant, and he like eats the microphone. It reminds me so much of that scene. So then people try
snatched it up.
I love it when this guy runs up with a pad of paper and a pen, and he goes, "Can I have your autograph?" to Virginia.
Can we discuss how that would happen?
Oh God! If they had a scene where Virginia gave autographs, I would have freaking died. That would have been great.
I think it would be more of a stamp.
Yeah. We thought there was a serious lack of Virginia doing things.
Yeah.
We'll mention a few
like
coming
tasks.
up because there's one thing she does with it, which is great.
Yeah.
But not enough.
Yeah.
They really could have played that up a little bit. Like, how funny would it have been if Virginia was eating dinner?
Or driving a car.
Yeah, oh, man. If she just had her, like, feet hanging up on the...
over the steering wheel. And, like, it honks.
Yeah.
They get some driving jokes and...
Oh, my God, if it honked. I could just see her driving with her legs and like Virginia just yelling out the window. Maybe flip somebody off somehow.
And some driver yells like, "You fucking cunt! You drive like a cunt!" And she like takes it. She goes, "Thank you."
They have no qualms about using the word cunt, by the way.
Yeah.
The C word is used quite a few times in this movie. So then we cut to a scene that doesn't need to exist, where Penny and Ted are at a picnic, And this part is great because Ted is a real dick. Like, he is just absolutely no fun. Because Penny just looks at him. They're about to eat their lunch, and she goes, "Oh, do you want to go sit by the lake?" And he goes, "There's grass down there. We'll get dirty."
Says the man wearing white pants.
Yeah, wears white pants to a picnic. He doesn't even say it in like a joking way or anything. He just is like a real jerk.
He's very much a very Tony Shalhoub monk kind of guy at this point.
Monk it up.
Monking it up. Way to monk it up.
Oh, God. He's on the Shaloose. Then they cut to a sex scene. So again, the picnic didn't even need to exist. They're in bed, and he says like, "Well, I need to know what V thinks of me." And she's like, "I like you, okay, Ted." And then she immediately goes into emasculating him again. And again, it doesn't make sense. No. Virginia's trying to have sex this whole movie, in which I assume she was gang raped by a bunch of high schoolers.
Basketball team.
But for some reason, every time Ted's about to put it in, she just has to say something to like emasculate him.
Yeah.
And so he's had enough, and he runs out again.
With his glasses intact this time.
Yeah, Penny's all upset about it. But Dr. Pearle calls, and he says they got more work. And we go to the dating game show.
Oh, boy.
Which is a terrible scene. It's about what you would expect. Penny and Virginia have to ask 3 bachelors questions. And basically, Penny's trying to play the game right. You know, she's asking him questions like, "Oh, do you think, how would you be on a date?" All this stuff. And Virginia just follows every answer up by one of the bachelors as like, "Oh, I want an inmate now. Can I take all 3? My favorite is bachelor number 2.
Bachelor number 2. Would you call yourself a gentleman?
I'd call myself a hot property.
If he's big enough to back that up, I'll take him sight unseen.
You're big enough to find out?
Woo, I choose number 2.
That number 2 is so cooperative, isn't he?
This game show, I don't know what network it would air on, but it's full-on raunch. So there's this weird scene where, like, because we're under the understanding that Penny and Virginia don't get along, and Virginia, I guess, getting in her way, but they both agree on bachelor number 1, and like the Dr. Pearle and Mom are behind the curtain going like, "Oh, they picked the same one, they must be getting along now." Makes no fucking sense.
No, it almost, the dynamic to me feels like Siamese twins, where one's more famous than the other.
Yeah.
And they would rather, it's kind of like, just put a towel over the face of the other twin.
Like you said, she just wear a burqa and just walk around without pants on the whole movie.
Yeah, she's just not even a torso.
So, okay, and this is where you say, this movie's about to end in about 10 minutes. And we have really, I mean, there's definitely a conflict between Penny not wanting to do this and Virginia being famous, but arguably nothing happens. I mean, really, it's just like a shoot to the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go to this date with bachelor number 1, and they're at a dance club, and then we see her friend from the hair salon one more time for one of the most useless scenes where she just goes, "How you doing? I'm doing great. Oh, I heard you were going to be in a movie." Yeah, it's just bullshit. Like, I don't even know why it was there.
They're running the clock down.
It was like she must have just been on set, and they're like, "You want to be in another scene?"
Yeah. But again,
they're running they just needed filler at this point.
Yeah,
they're like, the movie's a little light.
This dance scene, again, straight from trying to be a musical for Broadway adaptation, and that's all this scene really is. Because she's in a see-through top, too. Like, no self-respecting woman would go out dressed like this.
Penny does not wear much clothing at all. She never wears a bra. She covers up Virginia pretty well.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah, except for when she's a hairdresser. So they just like dance around, and they're like pounding martinis. Like her date is just orders her up martinis, and then there's a shot of like 8 of them being done.
Yeah.
And then he just watches her dance, which I thought was really creepy.
Very voyeuristic.
It's like, yeah, he's just sitting at the bar, and it keeps showing this shot of him just drinking this martini out of a champagne glass, by the way, which no martini served in a champagne glass. It's really freaking weird. And then the Vagina starts singing Wang Dang Doodle again, and there's this whole dance number where Penny's dancing with all these guys, and he's just sitting there pounding these drinks, staring at her.
Yeah.
So then it goes back to, oh, and by the way, his name is Dick.
Big laugh there.
Yeah. So we go back to Dick's house, which is like a castle, and it is like a castle.
It really, literally, to no one's surprise.
It's very medieval themed.
Mm-hmm. Which I would say, where is the torture chamber Well, there probably is.
God, that was probably on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. We take Virginia to the stretching room. So that one would pan out.
This part in the movie makes no fucking sense. There is no reason for any of this dating game shit to happen, this dance club, or going to his house. It was like they needed 10 minutes more of movie to finish this thing, so we have to put something in, and there has to be like some sort of conflict that Penny's like can't just get with Ted right away for some reason, because Virginia keeps emasculating him.
They're trying to form some kind of emotional detachment with her, with men in general, and no other man's going to do it for her but Ted. Or they just had this
Ted,
set.
who's a real catch, by the way, a real dick.
Yeah, but they had the set left over from, who knows, a Monty Python thing, and
this guy lives in like King Arthur times. He has like, and I'm not even exaggerating how weird this is. So he like gets in, and what I thought was really weird is he immediately starts breaking out more drinks, which is like, dude, she's had enough, man, and so have you. I mean, you were pounding these martinis over at the bar, and then you come home and start pouring more champagne. And we were watching this together. We thought this was such a missed opportunity. We would have loved a scene where Virginia like kneels over, like where Penny kneels Virginia over a glass, and you just hear like.
I was telling this. She makes some crack about it being, wow, that's not as dry as I am, or something like that, or I don't know.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah. See, this is what needed to happen. There needed to have more scenes where Virginia was doing things.
Yeah.
V just keeps hitting these one-liners, one after the next.
And they're falling flat.
Yeah, real flat. Nobody's laughing. Dick's just kind of ignoring her. He tells her, he goes, okay, Penny, I want you to go in the other room and dress up for me. And she like goes into this bizarro, like dungeon-esque room.
Yeah.
And like he's handwritten a scroll. Like a medieval scroll, like he's some sort of squire. Like he has, it's like calligraphied out, like, here's for my goddesses.
And for him to have, okay, first of all, he would have had to have planned that he was going to win this dating show. Well, this was all for naught. Well, how else would it?
No, I have an explanation for that, but we haven't got there yet. We have not got there yet. Yeah. So he tells you to dress up, which it basically consists of like some sort of like fur vest that doesn't cover anything. Her breasts are still fully exposed.
A tiara.
Yeah, and a tiara. And she like goes upstairs and lays down on the bed. There's another scroll, which he's handwritten.
It's like a bed fit for a princess or something like that.
So then she lays down and he walks in a full suit of armor.
Well, it's not exactly full because the ass cheeks are showing.
Yeah, it's like assless armor.
Other than that, he's ready for battle.
Yeah.
He's ready for a flesh joust.
I like to say assless but no front. Like the front's still covered up.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's going to work fully. But he like gets on top of her with this full suit of armor on, and Virginia's just cracking those one-liners. Oh. She's like, you got a can opener, Dick? Oh, this is like doing a Buick. God.
Shut the fuck up.
So
stick a sock in it.
Okay, and there is one scene in the very beginning. I'm going to jump way out of line here, but
please do.
Where the only scene this happens is Penny like covers up Virginia and muffles her at one point.
Yeah.
And you think maybe that's a good idea. Like maybe she could just like stick a tampon in it, you know? He does her in this suit of armor, and we cut to him delivering her breakfast the next day.
And he even arrives to fanfare.
Yeah. He walks in the door, it's like, da-da-da.
He's planned every angle. And where the fuck is it coming from? That's what I want to know.
This guy has the weirdest fetish I've ever heard of. It's like medieval sex.
Yeah.
Do you think do you think he really has a toilet, or is he just shit outside? Like, I wonder how far he takes this medieval thing.
Oh, I'm sure he shits outside. I mean, he's going to be living it up. With that kind of money. I don't know.
Do you think they had, like, mutton for breakfast?
Whatever was under that dish, probably.
So, like, he gives her a fortune cookie, which just doesn't make any sense.
Because
he gives her the fortune cookie.
Perfect sense. Medieval fortune cookie.
Yeah, medieval fortune. Yeah, medieval fortune cookie. He's getting things crossed. So he tells her, he goes, don't open it yet. And it's like, why even give it to her right now?
Yeah, I would have saved that. Okay, I would have came in halfway through the meal and brought it on another platter.
Yeah.
Like,
But no, he like hands it to her first, and he's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
here you go." She opens it immediately, and she goes, "It says goodbye," and he goes, "All my fortune cookies say goodbye." So, okay, now we're gonna go back here.
Let's pump the brakes.
You thought this was because he was planning on winning.
Right.
He does this to every woman
girl.
he brings back. He goes through this bizarro medieval fantasy where he has handwritten scrolls telling them to dress up in his fur vest, boobs out. He does every woman with a suit of armor on, and then in the morning has to like slut shame them by handing him a fortune cookie that says goodbye. And she goes, "Well, I don't understand. What is this all about?" And he says the line,
"All my fortune cookies say goodbye. That's the way it is with me.
I don't understand.
I saw, I conquered, and I came."
You sure did.
and Virginia says, "He sure did."
A real gentleman.
And again, do you want to know how much sense this makes? None. Because the next scene is a montage of Virginia still being famous.
Yeah, because now it's seen that didn't need to happen at all. There's no.
I love it. I love the fact that we saw the most bizarro sex routine ever.
But are the characters any better off from it? Is there anything learned? Is there any development whatsoever?
I think I'm better off for it. I got the line I saw and conquered. I came.
Again, a line they came up with and they wrote the scene around it.
So we get the montage of her still being famous. This is where it gets good, though.
The Walk of Fame.
What were you going to say? Yes, finally Virginia gets to do something. Tell me what happens, Chris.
Okay, so Penelope puts her hands into the cement, and I'm thinking, oh, this would be so hilarious if, and sure enough, she kneels down, and she has this look on her face like, boy, this is going to be cold and awkward, and sure enough, if only she squats into the cement, and if only we saw the imprint it left, that would have been
I know it cut too soon. I wanted to see her fully squat. So good. But it was like such a missed opportunity. Like, they could have had Virginia doing these things the whole movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, in all these montages, Virginia's wearing like new outfits in every one. Like some of them, she's like got like a fluffy outfit on.
Yeah, for different occasions. Like,
yeah.
She should have an outfit. Virginia should have done a ribbon cutting ceremony somehow. You know
a ribbon. Oh, that would have been amazing. Like holding a pair of scissors.
Yeah. No, her legs are the scissor. Stuck a ribbon between her legs and she just closes them.
Total missed opportunities.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to the second to last scene. If you think we've developed any sort of plot right now or any sort of ultimate conflict or anything, you'd be wrong. We still don't know where we're going. Like, it just goes, okay, you're filming a movie, and this director, he is amazing. This is when the line comes in where some lady's interviewing him, and he's just like, he's riding on a crane with the camera, and he's like, I'll tell you, I got a lot of stuff about this picture. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And he says in one part,
"Yeah, I want people to know that this is more than just the first film to star a real cunt."
And seconds later, the crane he's riding in collides into a bush, and he gets a bush in the face, which I thought was very metaphoric.
Yeah, and he goes, my hair. So then they have this weird dance number, which the song, I don't know the title of it, but it's Wake Up in the Morning to Our Cock-a-Doodle-Doo.
Yeah.
But then there's men in peacock outfits. Yeah. Nobody actually has like a chicken outfit on, which would have made sense, like if they're dressed like roosters, but no, they're dressed as peacocks.
And I thought I saw a turkey at one point.
And like the dance number is pretty good. It takes place in some cottage, which makes no sense.
I think this part of the film took the longest to film.
Oh, for sure. They blew their whole budget on this scene.
Again, made for the stage, but only for the film.
Because this dance number, this is the director's dream, this thing.
Yeah.
And like my favorite part is when that guy like picks up Penny and like twirls her around and he starts singing into Virginia. Yeah. Like Virginia and him are doing a duet.
There, check out the pipes on high.
So then for no reason, absolutely no reason, Penny just decides enough's enough and just runs out in the middle of the dance number, runs off set, And the director runs out and he goes, "Stop that girl, stop that cunt."
Dr. Pearle's like, "We got a 5-picture deal, where are you going?" She's just walking away from all the fame.
Yeah, she's done with it. So she jumps in a cab, she steals a cab from a guy, and he keeps going over and over, "Ma'am, that's my cab. Ma'am, that's my cab. Ma'am." He says it like 8 times. It's like, shut up.
Taxi!
Hold it. Hey, lady, that's my cab. Hey, wait a minute, lady, hold it.
Right back, hurry!
Hold it, that's my cab. Come on, hold it.
Get it.
And Virginia didn't say anything. It would have been great if she said something to that guy. She says something to everybody else except for this guy and her friend.
Yeah. Well, she's on the run right now. She just knows.
Well, yeah, Virginia doesn't like it because they get in the cab and she's like, "Just go, take me anywhere." And then Virginia yells, "Stop!" And she's like, "Go!" And then the cab driver's getting confused and they're braking and going and braking and going.
Piece. Ha ha.
Yeah. So then we get to the last scene of the movie, which Penny is at a cliff, which we thought looked a lot like High Point from Malibu High.
Malibu High, and this is where the crossover would have been great.
And this is where I wish the movie had taken the turn that I'd wish it would have. Is Penny standing on top of this cliff, and she goes, "Well, I think I'm just going to jump off." Like, she's decided, I'd rather kill myself than have a talking vagina. And Virginia says something about, like, just don't keep your legs closed. Like, she's somehow going to survive it.
Like, I don't like the force of the water rushing up is going to injure her. But leave Penny out of this.
She should have been like, jump face first.
Yeah.
Can you make sure you go face first?
Spare me.
There was that part earlier in the movie I didn't mention where she says something like, "Can I just like get her cut out of me?"
Yeah.
Like, Penny goes, "Is there any way to just get her taken out?" Which I thought would have been a pretty funny one if they had some scene with a doctor doing like some sort of vaginal
vaginoscopy.
So she debates killing herself and jumping off.
But then vaginalectomy. I'm sorry. Vaginalectomy. That's when you're going to remove it, yeah.
But then all of a sudden we hear a man singing.
Yes, and this is something that we hinted at earlier in the film. I'm like, this is kind of what we're getting at. And I knew it when it happened. I'm like, gotcha.
We hear a man's voice, and then Virginia joins along, and we hear a duet. Penny turns to see Ted standing there in a trench coat. By the way, both of them are naked. Under trench coats. And Ted's dick is singing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of questions about this.
Right.
Did this just start happening, or is this going on for a while? Because it seems like he might have wanted to tell her at some point and been like, I got...
Right, because he was looking down at it at the beginning when he was...
He says, we don't have to take this.
Exactly.
So he's somehow found more control over his penis than she has her vagina.
Right. He wasn't ready.
Or like, so I don't get it. Like, but he would have more sympathy for her. Mm-hmm. Maybe he could teach her the ways of getting it to shut up. Maybe Ted just learned to put a sock over it.
Or a clothespin.
Yeah.
It's actually like kind of a tourniquet. You know?
So it's so beautiful. They're made for each other.
Yeah. Would have been better if they
singing privates.
I think it would have been better if they both jumped together.
If they both held hands and jumped face first, would have loved it.
Yeah. And then you kind of hear vagina kind of sinking away to the ocean and fade to black.
I wish she would have jumped off that cliff.
I do too. Not before Kim showed up. For those who don't know, Malibu High, check out the previous podcast. So
that's Chatterbox.
Yeah, and really that's where it ends. They embrace.
Yeah, this is 73 minutes. Oh. It's a long 73 minutes.
It felt like a full hour and a half.
Yeah,
like an hour
it definitely
45.
feels longer than it is. I would say, definitely watch it because it's a curiosity that will never be repeated. Yeah. There will never be another movie made like this.
It's like they were trying to make it like the producers, but let's be like the producers, but take it a step further and like make it really edgy and raunchy. They'll love that, and it just does not translate. It does not come off. I know they tried. You can feel it with the humor. It just does not translate into what they were trying to go for, I think.
Yeah, I think MGM was like pretty positive that this was going to hit big.
Yeah.
Like they thought... it's a low-budget movie. It's a very low-budget movie. But I thought they'd think,
Airplane.
These type of movies are popular. Like, people like raunchy comedies. And, the premise is so outlandish that you'd think people would see it for curiosity's sake.
Right.
But apparently it was a mega bomb with critics
this would
and
be a
audiences.
great date movie or something, or at least the high school crowd would have loved it, they thought. But I think it's too cultured for the high school crowd. With all the musical and dance numbers and the singing.
And the problem is it's just not funny.
No.
It's just really, really not
Everything
that
falls
funny.
flat.
I mean, it is funny, but not how is it intended.
No.
And the production values are shit. I mean, there is a boom mic in every scene, almost like it's a character.
And I think they had the casting of the voice wrong for Virginia because she was so annoying. I think
so gross.
Lucille Ball would have been a better choice.
Yeah, Virginia was terrible.
Yeah. You're so annoying.
I know. And then like the way she talks is just so...
I'm your own little chatterbox.
It sounds like a director commentary. Like it doesn't sound like... It sounds like they just... Well, obviously they just had her, recording from a microphone, so it's all ADR'd, but it's terrible. It doesn't even sound like it's in the scene. It just sounds like somebody's talking over the movie. Yeah. Like they maybe did it as a working dub and then just never replaced it. A few questions for you, Chris.
Right.
One, do you recommend watching it? Maybe for Rip Taylor.
Rip Taylor, yes. I'd say watch it for Rip Taylor. After that, really don't bother because there's not enough redeeming quality in this movie to really talk about afterwards.
I mean, it's funny.
But unintentionally.
Yeah.
And but that humor for me fades away all too quickly.
If you listen to us explain it, you've gotten the gist of it.
Yeah.
And I've put a bunch of audio in here. I mean, you'll get it.
Yeah, because for the first 15 minutes, I was like, oh man, this is like living up to the hype. And I was taking notes, and I had to stop taking notes because there was just so much like ramming speed. Rip Taylor just ripping in. And I'm like, oh, great, this is going to be, we're going to keep this pace. But no, it just kind of meanders into the adolescence.
I would say a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, not really a recommend. Chris and I have seen this movie twice each.
Yeah.
Like, I don't regret it.
No, I'm glad I saw it. The curiosity.
The curiosity alone. Like, look, if you're interested, watch it, for sure. I don't want to stop you.
Yeah.
It is bizarre. And definitely something that probably would be forgotten, if not for people like us digging it back up. And Chris found a Salon article about it.
And that she tries to allude to, feminism and...
No, this movie, I mean, you can try all you want.
Yeah.
It's, I would say, trying to be pro-feminism.
Takes women back a good 50 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. It is not something to be admired for that. That's for sure.
Again, it's like watching someone's nightmare translated into film.
I would say the one thing this movie taught me is that Rip Taylor should have been in more movies. He's so good bad. It's just, I want to see him in everything. I so wish he would have been in the rest of the movie as like the Vagina's hairstylist or something. Like, he is just so good. Whenever he's on screen, he just keeps going. And he's like flailing his hands everywhere. He's throwing handkerchiefs in the air. He's the only legitimately like funny part of this movie.
Yeah, and I feel like his 3 minutes overshadowed any and all joke in this film because you're just everything just lacks any punch after him.
Well, yeah, the only other laugh I got, genuine laughs, I got a few of them. But that one where he goes, "You called me in the middle of a meeting to hear some cunt sing the Star Spangled Banner." Like, there's some good laughs in it.
Yeah.
But we've covered them.
Yeah.
Okay, next question for you, Chris. If there was a sequel to Chatterbox, what would it be about and what would you call it?
Chatterbox 2 Curtain Call.
Brilliant.
Yes. This one they take not just domestically, but to the world. And
Does Ted come with her? So is it like a duet scenario now?
Yes, it's going to be a duet. Problem is, there is a stage malfunction, and Ted falls on himself with an erection, and he kind of has to nurse himself back up, and they get a stand-in that's a Frenchman that also has the same singing anatomy, and there's kind of a weird triangle thing going on, and it's very much it's a love triangle is what it's going to be. And
yeah, I was thinking like I'd love to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, a baguette is involved, but I'm going to stop there.
I would love to see like a dynamic between Virginia and a cock, like just fighting. Like, I'd really like it if, like, maybe Penny and Ted are getting along.
Yeah.
But their privates aren't anymore. And they'd have to, like, maybe Virginia and whatever, Ted, we'll just call him Dick, don't get along, and they're, like, going to break up. But they have to be around each other in working conditions.
Kind of like a Johnny Cash and June.
Yeah, there you go.
June Carter.
But, yeah, I think that would be pretty funny.
Yeah, it'd be like Walk the Line.
Yeah, because maybe you could have scenes where, like, Ted and Penny are trying to have sex, but, like, Ted's wiener just keeps going another way or something. Or Virginia keeps moving, like...
It's like bent into, like, a 90-degree angle.
They won't let him do it. See, that would be great.
I remember Virginia just like, I'm just going to bite you right off.
So, the other one is our now recurring theme, which is, if this movie existed in the world of the van, how would it relate? How would Bobby, Danny DeVito, and the Straight Arrow fit into Chatterbox?
I would say Bobby would be a contestant on the dating show, for sure. and he gets picked.
Just replace Bachelor 3 with Bobby. And he would definitely be the one laying it down, laying it on thick. Maybe we have both Danny DeVito and Bobby be the contestants. And Dugan. All three. Dugan, DeVito, Bobby. And they're the dating game contestants.
Bobby wins naturally and the date takes place in the Straight Arrow.
Yes. There should be a part in the dating game, too, where Virginia calls Dugan a turd. Definitely the date takes place in the Straight Arrow. I can hear Virginia now just in that Straight Arrow.
On that waterbed, too.
Yeah. Oh, it's a waterbed.
No, it's like I'm on the Pacific. It's like I'm in the Mayflower.
Virginia's voice is like a 20s flapper or something like that. It's so fucking bad.
It's just something very dated.
Why I oughta? It's something like that. You know what it was? Is because when she says, "What's up, Doc?" she was like trying to be like the female Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
But didn't work.
No. It's only Lucille Ball.
Yeah, that could have been good. Or maybe like Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers. Oh,
Joan Rivers as Virginia would have been amazing.
All the way.
That's what it should have been.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. A sequel is Joan Rivers doing the voice of Virginia. Well, you couldn't really replace it, but...
Yes, you could.
What if Virginia goes into stand-up?
She has reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, and she becomes a stand-up comedian instead of just a singer. Oh, I'd love that. Although the jokes she'd get, ugh.
See, now you're subjecting yourself to more terrible jokes of
you're
Virginia
right.
and
you're
more
right.
Virginia, who is terrible.
Oh, just no more. I've seen this movie twice. I'll never watch it again.
No.
We were so excited going into this viewing, like, all right, we're going to write our notes this time. This is great. And then, like, all through the movie, it was like, well, we need to get coffee to even, like, get it up to, like...
one of those ones where you think, it's like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, this has got to be one of those things where it's either going to be really good or really not that good to cover in post, because it's not as good as it seems when you say it out loud.
I don't know, maybe this podcast was shitty. I thought it came out all right.
Well, I think
we had fun discussing it.
We did. I think it's just the film.
This is the first one out of the 4 we've done now, though, that I wouldn't recommend, which is sad. And thanks for joining us on another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Next week, we're going to be covering 1984's Savage Streets, which we talked about in the beginning of this episode. You can find it on YouTube. However, that audio track is about 4 frames behind the actual picture, so it makes it a little rough to watch.
But, you know, big hair, big fun.
Yes. It's almost impossible to find otherwise.
Yeah.
Very expensive on DVD.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing is all these movies like this, they're obscene in price.
Yeah.
For the quality that they are.
Now, I did a lot of collecting in the early 2000s of a lot of these, so
Thank God.
Now, I'm trying to pick movies that people have uploaded online. I own all of them, but I'm trying to make it as accessible as I can for people. This movie is on YouTube. If you can put up with that audio, please do. This is really a special movie. Savage Streets is one of the best movies we cover. We still talk about it all the time.
Very quotable.
We recorded this show months ago, and the 2 movies that we talk about most are probably Malibu High and Savage Streets. Seven Streets is pretty much most of the intro at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of a funny thing. You realize the movies that we kind of lean on are in this intro because they're just there's something about them. But.
Well, thanks again for joining us. You can find us on Facebook.com/Grindbin, as well as grindhousefilm.com. Yeah. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, if you have any suggestions for this show, please let us know. We've recorded a few episodes already, but we are very open to any suggestions you have to improve the show, as well as movie suggestions. And like I said, I still have a standing offer. If you even want to be on the show, let me know. Like Chris said, you got to supply your own microphone.
Bring your own microphone and cable. That's all we.
That's not true. But
and water bottle. Oh, and ride. You need your own radiator.
Yeah, we don't supply any sort of waters or.
We're not even going to Uber your ass out here.
Yeah, no.
Parking spot, forget about it.
But seriously, if you do want to be on this show, I want you to explain why we should be watching your movie you suggested.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be interesting.
That would be. Yeah.
So go ahead, email us, contact us. Call me. I don't care. Whatever. Let's talk bad movies. I don't do this for work. I do this for fun.
Yeah.
So. And thanks again for everybody that's listening and rating and reviewing us on iTunes. We really, really appreciate that. If you can continue to give us a few rates or reviews up there, that would be even better. We just want to expose this show to as many people as possible. And we really, really, this is a community type project. We really love any sort of input from anybody. And if you are a part of any of these movies, director, crew, actor, whoever, I don't care if you were like the friend of the friend who's in this movie, please contact us. Mm-hmm. We would love to have any information that we can share that provides a little glimpse on what it was like to make these movies during the 70s and 80s. I think for our audience, they would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. And just because it's called Grindbin doesn't mean it's a grind for us. Again, labor of love. That's just why we want to hear from you guys. Again.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Dad, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Head knockers.
Spooky got no real poetry.
Brenda.